So good to be back. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Juliana Imam, and I'll be your anchor for today's IP catch up series. We have an interesting guest today, and I'm excited to be interviewing him. Sorry, my colleague is interrupting our discussion today, but I'm sure he would. Okay, so he has left. So thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Juliana Imam, and I'll be anchoring the IP Catch-Up series today. We'll be talking to a Grammy Award winner, 2 times Grammy Award winner, two times, I'm not sure. He is someone that I heard about from a mutual friend, and since then I've been following him closely online, and I was thinking about it, that it would be so good to listen to him because he is a percussionist and he's a jazz person also. So it's so important that people who are not even using their vocals get to know how they can rise to the top. And so my guest for today is Mr. Olalekan Babalola. I'll be inviting him to join me right now, and I'm excited about. Okay, he's joining us shortly. Hello, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. It's so good to be interviewing you today. I'm excited. Thank you for
Ah,
saying yes to the invitation, sir.
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, IP Catch Up series is a series where we actually interview intellectual property players. It's a session where we get to find the intersection between intellectual property and different areas like the creative sector, the innovative sector, the business sector, politics, etc. And today I'm excited because we get to talk to someone who has risen to the top and is
Ah,
still at the top. So I'll be
ah,
reading out so I'll be reading out the profile of our guest today to go straight into our discussion for today.
uh-huh.
So Mr. Olalekan Babalola
Yeah.
is a two-time Grammy Award winning Nigerian percussionist. He is well known for his innovative musical style, using his native Yoruba tongue infused with traditional music, Afrobeat, and funky dance overtones. In addition to being a talented musician, Lekan has also undertaken education work as part of his artistic program and has ongoing relationship both in UK, USA, Europe, Caribbean, and Africa as a percussionist, art curator, tutor, band leader, composer, and producer. So he's a two-time Grammy Award winner, and that is something that a lot of people are praying for. Some people would get to handle it in their lifetime, and some might never get to handle it. So today we get to talk to a legend. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
So, so we'll be starting our interview today with the first question of trying to get to know you better. So
Okay.
we'd like to know how you started this musical journey. How did you start, sir?
I started from my father's church. So I'm a gospel musician, like any other traditional musician, Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, Miles, John Coltrane, any other fella, any other great musician must have started. Well, church is like the sport. So I started from the church. My father was a choir master. He was an accordion player. So I played for a lot of service, communion, liturgy hours. I played for several hours, and that's where the apprenticeship came on. So I see music as not as a business then. So it's like you're playing for service. You're serving people. So music to me is like for serving people. So I started from the church.
Okay, sir. So, how, what, um, what was the transition for you? Like, when did you um, progress from the church to now serving the world and everything? Because we see that a
Ah,
lot of that starts from the church. A lot of the big names that we know now started from the church. But what pushed you into taking your talents beyond the church to the world?
okay. When I came to England 1980. I had a scholarship from Lagos State Government to study aeronautics and automobile engineering at Chelsea
Wow.
College in Shoreham by the Sea, which is in East Sussex near Brighton. And from there, I started playing around um, friends' house, clubs. You start jamming with friends who have music inclination. And from there, he developed that I was noticed by few friends who played in a rock band. And then I started playing in a rock band with some of the guys. And the producer for Terence Trent D'Arby, Sean Oliver, a bass player, who used to work with, he's dead now. He was working with Nene Cherry and a band called Rip Regan and Panic in London. And Curiosity Killed the Cat, a rock band. So I started playing around London scene, um, going around parties, playing in clubs, playing in rock band. And from there, I started hanging around with jazz musicians, studying the idiom of jazz and the whole vocabulary and style of to play music that I don't really have any idea, but I know that well. Somebody will teach me. So it's from being in an engineering school to playing in the clubs, in a different school band, friends band, community bands, and I started playing with all kinds of people, and it became a profession.
Wow, wow. So, were you signed? How did your band start? Did you people sign an agreement to come together to start, or you people just started jamming, going for gigs, and then they started paying, then you people started sharing, or was it more formal, like coming together, putting an agreement together, opening a bank
Well,
account?
it was a French Cameroonian, is half French, half Cameroonian photographer, Patrice, who came from Paris, said that, look, let's start a band called African Samba Samba Gang. And in that band was Olumide Akisanya, Seal, popular known as Seal. And so he was like a guest singer in the band. It wasn't part of the band, but it was me, the bass player, guitar player, and a dancer that formed that band. And we started playing in London since that time. And then I joined the Gospel Awal African Oral Band. It's a kind of a percussion-led band. And then from there, um, the doors started opening up as people need percussionists. So I must have played in, I don't know, I can't count it now. Different bands from rock, punk, jazz, R&B, gospel, folk music. Then I settled to become a jazz percussionist. It's a road I've been wanted to. Then I started studying a lot of African American classic art form. You know, you have to study the real book in order to know the song, the jazz standard. So yeah, that was it for me. The rest is I can't remember.
Okay, okay. Why I was trying to ask about the legal side of it, because I'm just trying to make the audience. So if there's someone here that
Yeah,
is about to start with a band, I want to just know if so from your discussion so far, it's like you played with several bands.
yeah.
Yes, sir. So at the point where you're working with these bands, how is the legal side like? Like, is it like a formal thing that it's formal for the um, unity of the people and the payment structure, the split sheet agreement, who as in who is the composer,
Well, you
what?
start seeing music lawyer, you start going advice. So you become a member of a union. That's the thing
Yes.
here. If you have to work on a television, on radio, you can't just go and play on the radio. You have to fill a form. Or if they play your music, they have to fill a form for PRS, MCPS, and or BMI, somewhere they have to pay the check to. So the thing is becoming a member of the union. From the union, you get to understand the legal side of things. I became a music publisher of my music when I was 23.
Okay.
Aleki Jojo Music, because I read a book by Al Taylor called Notes and Tones, where a lot of jazz musicians spoke, and they really talk about music publishing. So I didn't know anything about music publishing. I didn't know what it was. So one day I just walked into Banner Street, 23 Banner Street in West End. This is PRS office. And I said to the guy that I want to become a member of PRS. That's
Yeah.
Performing Rights Society. And gave me a form. Then luckily that time I had to write something or compose something for BBC. And they were asking for membership union of musician union, PRS membership, writers thing, publishing thing. So luckily I've done all those paperwork before. Then I attended what I have. So, but I had to go through a lot of surgery with the musician union, what do you call it, legal team, in order to understand how you become an as a professional musician. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So another question I want to know is how how did you move from singing in clubs and everything? How what was the journey to the Grammy itself? How how did it go from being like a regular singer that it's just saying, okay, this is a dream I have, to actually having that dream come to life?
Well, there's no book for it. There is no book. There's I didn't become a jazz percussionist or a musician for Grammy. I didn't even know what is called Grammy. You know, all I know is that I want to be able to earn a living like my fellow Nigerian friends, whatever, that I went to same school with, who are accountants, lawyers, bankers, medical doctor. I want to have a living. Like that. It's a profession. Music is a profession. I didn't think of Grammy. I didn't even know what it was called Grammy. I worked on Ali Fakature album produced by Nick Gold, the producer for Bonavista Social Club. And then I was called one day that you guys were nominated for Grammy. I mean, my agent then, who called me up, he was kind of shaking, crying on the thing, kind of really happy. I didn't know what was called Grammy, to be honest. All I know is that I don't want to depend on anybody. I want to earn a living. So it happened that Alifa Kature's album is one of the first albums that made the category of world music then. The first category they called world music in the Grammy. And I haven't been following it. I don't know what the category they have now. So that was the work, the first work called In the Heart of Moon on World Circuit that got the first Grammy album that I worked on. But I mean, we were just Ali Fakature didn't even know what is called Grammy because he lived in Mali. You know, he didn't get involved in the whole thing about Grammy. You don't even know what is Grammy. Grammy is not created for Africans like us. You know, they just happen to have it there. You know, and then he walk into us, not that we walk into it. You know, it's Else, if you said you're going to be waiting for Grammy, you're going to be waiting for the rest of your life. Um, so that's, I still don't understand how it worked, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Yeah. And the second one was a kind of a project that I really, really love with my boss, Cassandra Wilson, who I kind of produce the work with the team. And we were at the Blue Note one day in New York, and she said, we've been nominated for Grammy. But that's in the category of jazz. And so the two works, the Alpha category one and Cassandra one, they're musos work. Muso meaning they're really musos who are dedicated to their craft. I didn't even know how they nominated that kind of work for Grammy, because I thought it's something like Beyonce, Jay-Z. These are masters work, master musician. So that's the area that I find myself. I wouldn't say that this musician plan the music that they're going for Grammy. They don't really deal with that, deal like that. So it's just something that walk into their life, and it's there, and it's not the reason why you play music. You play music because you play music.
It's so interesting to hear this because I sing and I relate with people that sing, and I know that a lot of people, not just vocal singers, people that play the instruments and all that, most people will tell you, oh, like my desire is that hopefully I get to be recognized internationally and that, but to hear that you didn't even know what it was is so interesting to know. Then I want to. Then I also want to know, were these songs produced in Africa or they were produced outside Africa but by Africans?
Um, Alpha Kature's one, we work it at Livingstone Studio in London, owned by World Circuit. And that was where it was recorded. Alpha Kature came from Mali, and Nick Gold has a Livingstone studio, beautiful studio, great studio, like Abbey Road Studio, great sound. Jerry, the studio engineer, fantastic masters engineer, And the Cassandra's album, there's a story behind Cassandra's album, which is called Lovely. When we produced that in Jackson, Mississippi, we hired a house, an empty building, because we want a kind of a different sound, not kind of a studio sound, but a kind of eclectic kind of a sound that musicians will be living together in a house, whereby you wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and you go into studio. So we brought all the equipment from LA into Jackson, Mississippi. All the rigs were brought from LA into the studio, and some of the takes were done in a bathroom. Some of
Wow.
the vocal were done in a bathroom. We used the kitchen area as the where we put the drums, the percussion, the piano, and the living area had the acoustic bass and the guitar, and sometimes the singer can move between the bathroom and the main lounge where the musician are. So we were trying for different sound of echo. It was a kind of and the music was kind of really jazz standard that was approached in a kind of a contemporary way, and so it's kind of a new sound that we were trying, and boom, you had it.
So would you say that one of the elements or one of the things that made the song recognized was the excellence put into it and the uniqueness of the sound?
Well, yeah, I mean, you had Jason Moran on piano, you had Helen Riley on drums, you had Lonnie Placico on bass, you have Marvin Smith on guitar, and Cassandra Wilson, the band leader and the singer. So you had a great lineup of the cream of the American jazz musician, and who really played who was seasoning jazz musician right there. And you are top engineer, you know, from Blue Note. So that the Blue Note has a kind of a traditional jazz sound. And this element of this musicianship contribute to it. And it's up to the judge, the Grammy judge. I don't know how they judge this thing. All I know is that end result, you know, we won it, you know. But to be honest with you, I think is the musicianship and the sound that create the work. I think we were not even thinking, man, the musicians don't even know what was Grammy who were in the room. They were not even thinking about that, man. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from the things that you said, it sounds like both songs were produced out of Africa, not in Africa. So I want to know the production style in Africa, the production style in Nigeria specifically. Is it good enough for international works? Though recently we saw that Burna Boy won the Grammy. But I would like to know, like, for an average singer here in Nigeria, from the productions that you've been listening to that come out of Nigeria and Africa, how would you rate the production, the musicianship in put in it?
Musicianship is very good in Africa, no doubt. Like anywhere in the world, musicianship is very top, really. I mean, you can really top, super top. But I think we still have problem in engineering, the sound engineering. Anytime I come to Nigeria to do a gig, it's always difficult, the sound. And I think it's an area that one has to pay attention to. Sound engineering, and also maybe the acoustic they use for building the studio. But mind you, those days when they have Decca Studio, the Ebenezer Obey, the music they produce for in the 70s, you know, those music was so good. They did on vinyl. You know, there's really happening. I don't know really what's happening right now, you know, and I think engineering, we need to pay attention to sound engineering in Nigeria. Let's not worry about the musicianship. The musicianship is fantastic. Everywhere you go, you have great musicians. Content is very powerful. But the sound, the digital engineering is what we just need to understand. How they use that sound, how they capture that sound is what I can see.
Okay, sir. So I'll be asking an interesting question, and that's the money question. So does the Grammy come with money?
No, the Grammy doesn't come with money. The Grammy only come with international recognition. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's good to know. Because that, that's good to know, because since they've been talking about people that won the recent Grammy, Burna Boy and Whiskey, people have been talking about, oh, that he's going to have a lot of money, that his team would have to split a lot of money. So I
Well,
wanted to.
it depends. Maybe when you get a Grammy, you might get a lot of gig. You know,
Oh,
that's the money
oh,
side. You know, your agent might get the phone line busy, and
yeah.
you know, your manager might get the line busy, whatever. But Grammy itself doesn't come with money. It's a recognition, you know, of artistic contribution to the world of music.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very good to know. So I would also like to, um, so as an entertainment lawyer and as someone who sings also, I have I have come in contact with a lot of singers who complain that they are broke, they don't have this money, and people will tell you, follow your passion, and it will bring your money. That if you follow your passion, you won't get to work another day, because you would once you perfect your passion, then you will sit in front of kings and great men, and they will pay you a lot of money. But a lot of people, like there was someone I was listening to and she was like, music is her passion, but so far she has not been able to get anything from it. So how how were you able to move from, or what are you going to advise an artist in Nigeria and Africa, or generally, how would you move from being a singer that you love what you're doing and you've done your homework, you can do your work well, to getting paid and being financially stable on music or with music?
Well, as a performer myself, I'm not just a performer. I'm an educator as well, and a
Yes, sir.
workshop leader. So music is not just one area for me. It's music in education, music as a therapy, music for all kinds of area. And I run a non-profit organization called the Yoruba with other collective and consortium of artists, and also a creative ensemble. So music is kind of disseminated in many areas for somebody like me. So, but it's my art, and I have to use it and work it in all areas. I can't just be waiting for one gig. I have to go after many gigs. I write grant application. I've trained myself to become an art administrator, to conceive a concept through music and education, and that will become a performance, and that will become maybe a documentation, whereby it become a resources that I can disseminate to schools, colleges, department of music, institution, and use as a kind of a community manual for musician. So it's all areas of music. I do lectures in university, and it's all areas of music that I practice in. So I can't just tell you that my income comes from being a performance. No.
Wow, wow, that's so good to know, because some people that I get to see and get to write to me, etc., they're like, okay, this is what I love, and they don't want to do any other thing. They're just like, okay, this would work and this would pay the bills alone. But it's good to hear this other side. Like, you have to be open and flexible to do other things, even in the
Yeah.
music sector. It's not just the vocal, the music, the singing part of it. Also, it's
No.
also about the other areas that accompany music. Thank you very much, sir. Um, Also, I would like to know, what's your take on record labels and being an independent artist? Because now we know that a lot of people some are moving from being signed to a record label to being an independent artist. So where do you fall in, and why?
Um, One time when I was working with Prince, when we were doing Tour of America, um, Prince being Prince, may his soul rest in peace. He said that he wants to do it. He did it on his own, and people like David Bowie too. Um, I think these days the middleman, which is the record label and the audience, is the relationship is getting smaller, but whereby the social media is becoming the thing,
Yes, sir.
and promotion, everything is on social media. You see, at the end of the day, it's like once your product can reach the audience through a large pool of distribution, I think you're doing very well. I think the traditional record label format is getting smaller. I think what is important is for the artist to know about publishing. Yeah, artists got to know about publishing. It's not about just singing alone. You've got to know about publishing and your rights. And then once you understand that, yeah, the work going through distribution, is like it's normal thing. Because once you've copyright your work and everything, you've been covered, you've been protected. And I think social media will be the thing of the future, you know. Signing to record label, because they're middlemen, they will take percentage of the expenses before they give you the account, So if you can spend that time, it's very difficult to do by yourself, but you need a team. So everybody's buying a team of people whereby they have to pay salary to, and but the social media is trying to cut that. It's like, the corona is making most of us trying to work from home now, whereby you don't pay office space rent. Right. So that's where we're going. The arrangement of the music executive and the artist, we have to have a line of compromise. Else, many artists will depend on the social media moderator. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So you've mentioned publishing a lot, and for the people that are listening, what is publishing?
Publishing is when you yourself as an artist take care of the administration of your life. Yeah. You know where you copyright yourself, you know where and when your work is going and who's using it. But the lawyer played a major role in it. And this is what we artists we need to understand it. I'm still learning it every day too. And yeah.
Okay. Then recently we heard Kanye West talking about taking his masters and about how he would like to get it, and he has asked for how much his masters cost, and he has not gotten a feedback on how much his masters cost from the record label for him to get his masters back. So what's your take on masters for people in the music industry?
I try
And
to own my masters. Yeah, I try as much possible to own my masters. Yeah.
yes, sir. Why is
Yeah.
that?
Why? Because I try to kind of invest in myself. I believe in myself so much. Before somebody invests in me, I want to invest in myself. I believe in my project. I believe in my work. Yeah, I like to put the cost, everything, and maybe license it out for different many years, whatever. But I like to own my master.
Okay. Well, I believe owning masters has to do with leverage that you also have as an artist.
Say
So
that
if
again.
having to own a master's has to also do with the leverage that you have when you are talking to a record label. So if you're talking to a record label and you're just starting and they're doing all the investing, etc., it might be tighter to negotiate taking the masters, maybe completely.
Well, that's where it's tricky. It's There's a fine line between that section. Well, if they've given you advance, they own part of that property, and you have to kind of maybe don't take the money, and that's if you want to become owner of your own work, because you see, at the end of the day, it depends on the money they invested in you. They have to get their money back. It's natural, but I'm a collaborator, I'm a producer too, and I didn't just go into music business to play percussion. No, I want to produce. I want to have a kind of a contribution to the genre of the music that is going on in the world.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So you spoke about promotion, and I've actually seen a lot of people that go to the studio, spend a lot of money, and after they are done with spending that money, they say, "Oh, my song is coming out on the 15th of May. It's coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out," and then they put it on different distribution sites. They go to promote it in radio stations and all that. But by the time it's time for the day of the release, you now see that they are struggling to get people to buy, to stream. What's your take on promotion now as it stands? Bringing out a single or an album, what's the best way to actually promote that? What's the best way, in your own opinion, to actually get this audience to buy into your craft and to pay for it?
Well, as I said before, the old way of promotion, they too are finding a new way to use the digital promotion. And it, it's, it's all about having a good social media handler or handling somebody who's doing it per second or per hour, whatever. Because the big boss, the big record company, Warner Brothers, they have the big money to do billboard, to do whatever. So it is a lot of money invested in it, unless you have maybe you're signed to another company like Coca-Cola to do the promotion for you, or you name it, big corporate company. But if you don't have that, you have to do it yourself. And the way to do it is the social media that we have around. Guerrilla promotion, guerrilla tactics, you know. The hip hop people, they did it. You know,
Yes, sir.
when the American corporate didn't want hip hop to happen, you know, it's a music that busted through the door of America. You know, they didn't want it at all, you know. But sometimes, somehow, from the grassroots, the whole thing just erupted, you know, and blew the whole TV, all the promotion angle out. And then hip hop became one of the biggest music genre in the world today. You know, it's from grassroots. It's like the people want it. You know, you can't stop the power of the people.
That's very true.
Mm.
I want to just hear a story from you. So, what's just share with us a story of like your biggest would I say win or financial win, like something that happened in your career that you were so excited about that also brought in money that was exciting.
Huh. Um, ah, I think I've been privileged. It's a privilege, you know, and having the grace of God that all my career I've I have to work hard. There hasn't been a kind of Christmas. I think everything I've worked hard for. You know, I can't really tell you. I have to work on my chops. You know, work on my chops, work on my composition, work on my musicianship. Um, if I miss the playing, I miss the money.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
you know, I can't tell you. And I think I've just been. If they said the heat were hitting at 11 o'clock, I tried to get to the bandstand at 11:15. You know, so the MD won't be upset with me. And it's all those kind of things that they seen as money. I think the biggest thing for me is like I have to be disciplined. You know,
wow.
I think it's not. I think when you're disciplined with your craft, with your chops, with everything, and this is the only thing I've got, and I can tell you different stories. I mean, you want me to tell you a story of a tour in Australia, or of a tour in Japan, or American tour, or Europe. Um, if I miss the tour bus, I miss the money.
Yes, sir.
that's, that's that's what's happening for me. Ain't nothing story that it's a luck. I think don't miss the tour bus and don't miss the plane and don't argue with the MD. I think you'd be cool. I think that would be my advice. Yeah, don't get into trouble with the musical director.
Wow.
Yeah, I think nobody gave me any way because I'm a cousin to Hugh, a friend to Hugh. No, I think in my profession, I mean, if I miss the tour bus, there are 5 percussionists on the
Wow.
bandstand. Yeah, I think don't miss the tour bus. Don't get late for rehearsal. When they
Yeah.
say the heat is 11 o'clock on the bandstand, be there 10 o'clock, just sitting. That's, I mean, I don't have any other thing to say. Yeah.
Wow, that's so good because now we get to learn the power of discipline, and it must not be convenient always, but for you to handle what you want to handle, which is the money or whatever, the satisfaction of performing your craft, you have to be disciplined to show up
Yeah.
and what you have to do.
Yeah.
Great, great. So wow. So we read about singers, musicians, artists that die like out of a lot of overdose issues. Would I say pleasures, indiscipline, etc. What's your take on the lifestyle in the industry and the temptations that come with it?
Um, well, especially in the jazz circuit when I was growing up and hanging out with great jazz musicians that I had privilege to hang out with, like Bohana at Blakey. I hang out with the great Pharoah Sanders. I talk with great Charles Lloyd, um, Cassandra Wilson, Diane Rich. I think from advice, it's like anything in excessive is dangerous. Too much of everything. You might want to get high, but you know your body. But I think anything, too much drink, too much anything, it can have a bad effect. Um, I think people have to do everything in moderate. That's my thing on it. Especially within the jazz musician circuit in the 60s, drug overdose killed a lot of musicians. It killed, damaged a lot of great musicians from Charlie Parker to Lee Morgan, a lot of great cats. But as Train said, doing things in moderation, is the way forward.
Okay, sir. So, when people see an icon or a legend or someone that they look up to, they feel like everything has been rosy. The person was lucky. A lot of things lined up in pleasant places for the person and all that. But I would like you to share maybe a story or something that happened that you had to sit back and encourage yourself that okay, um, you can do this, continue, and all that. Like, did you get to any point in your career where you were maybe almost discouraged and you had to sit down and encourage yourself to move on?
Oh, yeah, sure. I can tell you that part that several times I've slept at a train station,
Wow.
bus station in London. I slept. I can take you to the spot whenever you're in London. Victoria Station. I slept at Victoria Station when I was homeless, and um, that doesn't discourage me. I've slept at the club before because I have to make up the deposit for my rent, and the only way I'm going to get that rent, the deposit, is for me to do that gig that night. And then there's no way for me to sleep. Instead of me going to YWCA and pay £20, that is going to reduce the deposit. So I prefer to stay overnight in the club, with my conga. So I've done a lot of things when you are at the beginning of your career, but that doesn't disturb the spirit. The spirit is that, yeah, you get each day will be different, And Charlie Parker said, when you begin to repeat the rhythm, you get used to it, you know.
Yes.
And so yeah, I've had obstacles that doesn't disturb me. It can't disturb the goal. You have to keep it focused. I'm not saying it's easy, it's hard, but with God's grace, you get there.
Okay, sir. Um, how how do you deal with conflicts in the music industry? For example, you're a percussionist and you have to deal with the singers, the keyboardists, those playing the organs or whatever. Like, you have to be able to manage everybody, and issues might come up. There might be conflicts. How have you been able to deal with conflicts? Because we hear a lot of people that have to go to court, have to stop their royalty checks to actually say, okay, that split sheet didn't put you there. You're not a composer in this song, and someone claims, oh, I'm the composer and all that. Like, how have you had to deal with conflicts in the music industry?
Um, I've been kind of fortunate that the collaborators I've worked with, um, stuff like that hasn't developed, or one or two times that things like that might develop, we kind of work it out. And especially being a percussionist, because you're the last person they think about that you can contribute, you know, because the keyboard player, we said, he brought the melody and
Yes.
whatever, or the singer, but my percussion is melody. I see my work as melody, you know. I'm a writer too, you know, not just a rhythm provider. You know, I see what I'm doing, because drum has a melody, you know, we tune according to the concert of the piano, you know.
Yeah.
So I see my work, I'm a melody player, you know, and I always kind of bring stuff to the table. So that's the work I've kind of developed from the beginning of my career, that I want to be known as a composer, you know, not just an accompanying musician, you know.
Yeah.
And because not a lot of drummers, not a lot of percussionists were band leader, but I wanted to. It's been a long struggle, long painful road for me as a percussionist, because you don't usually lead a band. But
Yeah.
I kind of make it a point of duty that I want to be a conceptual artist. Yeah, that I want to be a conceptual artist. I want to be able to conceptualize the concept, develop the concept, psychoanalysis it, pieces it, do surgery on it, work it to the point of the end. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I see myself as a composer and conceptual artist.
Well, I love what you shared, because I've seen a lot of people that are percussionists, people that play the drums, and um, most of them play for churches. And after they play for churches, some play in clubs. It's do I know someone who has taken it like a step further? So he plays for major artists in Nigeria and all that. But it's good to know that beyond that, there's still something higher. Um, great, great, great work you're doing, sir. And I'll be asking my final question. Do you do you think that if you were in Nigeria, you would have been able to achieve all that you've achieved so far and even win the Grammys?
Huh. I don't know. I can. I don't know the question. I don't know the answer to that. Do I think
No,
I can hear you now? Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you, sir. So my question was, do you think that if you were in Nigeria, you would have been able to achieve all that you have achieved within this time, even to winning the Grammy, if you actually stayed in Nigeria and not moved to England?
It would be a different achievement. It would be
Okay.
a yeah. It would be a different achievement, and it might not be in the world of Grammy. I don't know, to be honest with you. This is where the concept of the mystery, yeah, of God,
Yes.
or of the Creator. This is where
Yes.
the mystery comes in, and this is where the grace comes in. It's all about grace for me. My mentor that I never get to meet, but I love his work. I use his work to mentor myself. John Coltrane. This is where his thinking will come in. That it's all about all praises to God. I don't know if I remain in Nigeria. I left Nigeria 40 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I left Nigeria when I was 20 years old. I'm 60 years old now. I left
Wow.
1980. And I don't know, that's what I can say. But I did had my eyes on the ball though. Yeah, internationally.
Sorry, I didn't get your
I
last line.
did I did had my eye. I had my eyes on the ball when I was growing
Okay.
up in
Okay,
Nigeria,
sir.
you know. And when I was growing up in Nigeria, music were coming in from America daily through Pan Am. We were getting the best funk music, and there are funk bands in Lagos. So I had my eyes on international um, whatever from when I was young.
Ah,
Yeah. So I can answer that. Well, if I'm in Nigeria, this is what would have happened. I don't know. I really can't answer. But I knew that January 23, 1989, Consortium of Lagos Boys, all of us are jazz musicians, we opened for Dizzy Gillespie in Lagos at the National Theatre. In that
okay.
band was myself on percussion, Dr. Bayo Adepetu on keyboard, Peter Fishers on bass, I think Bisade Ologunde on bass, Lagbaja, Kayode Olajide on alto, Popola on drums, a bunch of Nigerian young guys. We open for Dizzy Gillespie, United Nation Band. So I don't know if I'm in Nigeria, what will have happened. I don't know. It's the grace of God, You know.
We thank God for His grace. Were your parents supportive of your craft?
Yes, 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 very, very much. My mother supported me to become an artist. I went to an art college. I went to Central St. Martin School of Arts. I studied fine art film in London in Covent Garden. Then I went to film school to study film directing. And so when I left film school, I went to States to work with Spike for a little bit. But I've always have music is not enough for what I do. It's a whole kind of a cultural, artistic concept, whereby multimedia. So I have a non-profit organization that I've been running for 25 years in London. And we do exhibition, we do jazz festival, Birchfield Jazz Festival. And we're running a Birmingham jazz radio station
Wow.
at the moment. So it's an idea for me to always wanted to have a radio station like WBGO in New York or WOZA in New Orleans. And maybe one day we might come and run Lagos Jazz Radio,
Yeah.
my city where I was born, And so I don't know what would have happened, but I come to Nigeria twice a year. I was just there 4 weeks ago
Oh, wow.
because that's the source of my inspiration. Anything I,
Inspiration.
yeah, anything I do, anything I become. I was born and bred in Lagos. I'm a Lagosian, so I'm always in Lagos twice a year, just to soak it up.
Wow. Thank you so much, Cyborg. It has been a pleasure talking
Ah,
to you. It
thank you very
has
much.
so beautiful talking to you. But I would like you to just say like your final words to people who are looking up to you and want to just get and encouragement from you.
Well, the only thing is don't give up. Don't give up. No, don't give up.
Oh God, well, it's so fast to say, but when reality comes knocking, sometimes it's not so easy.
Yeah, don't give up, because when you give up, that's when you mess the whole thing up.
Wow.
Yeah, because you've been working from morning to it, and it's only mid-afternoon. It seems to be difficult, and in the afternoon, but you don't know what is going to happen around 5 o'clock in the evening. So don't
Yeah.
give up.
Well,
It's
well,
easy to say, but I didn't have no choice. Um, I didn't have no choice. There wasn't anything that was God presented to me that time than what I'm doing right now. And if I didn't give up, I'm not clever like you. But don't give up.
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so much.
much. Thank you
It
very
has been a
much.
pleasure. If
Thank you.
if you are watching this and you want to follow him, please just follow Lekan Babalola on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on all the social media platforms. He also has a website and he organizes a lot of shows and he's into the education sector, the NGO, a lot. He's into a lot. He's also a producer. So if you need a mentor, if you need to follow closely or from afar, whichever, please just try to follow him and try to learn as much as you can. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very
this.
much.
I'm so
Thank you.
grateful. In regards to your family.
Thank you. And bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for joining us today. This has been IP Catch Up, and our guest for today was Lekan Babalola, a percussionist and a two-time Grammy Award winner. He gave us a rundown of his life, and at the end, he dropped something that's so profound. It sounds so common, but very profound, and that was "Don't give up." So if he can do it, you can do it. Even if you're not in Nigeria, not in London, even if you're in Nigeria, you can do it. Because as he said, most of the guys that won that Grammy, they did not even know what a Grammy was. They just followed their craft and it finally paid off. So we believe that whatever we're doing, as long as we're on track and we are diligent, according to what he said, we will also handle all that God has put in our paths. So thank you so much for joining me, and I would love to see you next week as we discuss with another IP practitioner. Thank you and have a lovely day. My name is Juliana Imam.